Hello and welcome back to the Reapers. So today we're in our Su-27 and we're going to be looking at IFR ILS landings. This will cover also the Mig-29, the three variants of Mig-29, and the Su-33 as well. They all use either an identical or a very similar system, so one video will cover them all basically. So an ILS system is an electrical system on board the plane which basically communicates with an airbase and guides you in for a landing if you can't see it. So for instance, if it's a visual landing and you can see an airport, you can go in and just use your eyes to land. If you can't, if it's full whiteout like this, you need an ILS system to guide you in. And what my ILS system is going to do is tell me exactly where to fly, how fast. It's going to put me on a glide slope to that airbase and help me land. So let's look at the plan first of all. So if we go on the map here we are here. We're heading roughly north. We're about 21 miles, about 35 clicks away from Mozdok, and we're going to want to come down on this runway here, which is runway 26. First of all, before we go any further, let's quickly show you the controls we're going to be using for this. So adjust controls. So we've got navigation modes there with that we're going to need to use. We've got previous waypoint there, next waypoint there, display zoom out, and display zoom in. So those are the controls we're going to be using. Now let's look at the instruments. We've got the HUD here. Left Alt and C will give us our cursor. There we go. We've got our HUD here with informations on it. We've got ADI we're going to be using, our HSI we're going to be using, and our map display we're going to be using. Now we don't need to use all of them, we can just use some of them. We could just use the HUD, or we could just use the ADI and the HSI. They are overlapping instruments, and if one were to fail like the HUD, we could just go down and start using these instead. It's a good idea to practice both the steam gauge approaches and the HUD approaches. Okay, very quickly let's blast through what we've got here. So we've got the HUD, there is our actual speed there is our desired speed as per the ILS navigation system. Here is our actual altitude. Here is our altitude as desired by the landing system. Here is our course guide here. It's a circle, and here is our actual where we're heading, where aircraft is heading, this cross here. And it's what I like to call a chase circle. So what we want to do is put maneuver so our cross is in the circle, and that is how the system will guide us within the HUD onto a certain flight path. There is a distance here to the selected location, which we'll go through later. Here is the mode we're in at the moment. Now down to the ADI. We've got the ADI here. You're aware of the ADI from the cockpit tutorial we do, but the things we're interested in are the guidelines. We've got what will become a localizer line. There's a vertical one here, which we will be using to locate ourselves laterally, and a glide slope line, this one here, which will be able to locate ourselves vertically. Next, HSI. We are heading towards the 12 o'clock position. The green tick there, the green arrow there, is the heading indicator to our chosen location, and the white one is the course course indicator to our heading to our chosen location. There is a distance of 22 kilometers. And here is our map that we'll go through in a second. So first let's look at unpause it and look at the navigation mode. So I'm going to press 1 a few times, and you will see that it cycles through the different navigation modes: neutral, en route, return, landing. En route is used to navigate between various predefined waypoints. We don't have any of those, so what we're going to do is first use the return RTN option. This will take us not to the airbase, but 10 miles off of the approach, so about roughly somewhere there it's going to take us to. At that point we're going to switch to the landing navigation mode, which will take us all the way down to the runway in an ILS fashion. Okay, so we're going to we're going to press 1 until we get RTN. And now to visualize what that's done for us, we have our map here. Now the Mig-29 won't have this, but the flankers will. It's extremely useful. So we can see there we are heading in that direction. There is the point that the RTN is trying to get us to. It's 10 miles off the approach for runway 26, and there's the runway itself, all visualized. Really useful stuff. There's the scale of the map there. There's our current speed there. And then our instruments down here, our ADI here. Here is our lateral guideline here. It's way off to the left at the moment, which means we need to chase it to the left until it becomes central, and then we are on course. Same with this vertical here, but for the altitude. This we want to chase it down until it's neutral position, where we are there in the middle, and then we will be essentially on the correct flight path. And here we have the HSI. Currently we're heading this direction. Currently the course indicator and the heading indicator are off to the left, so we need to chase it left so that it becomes in the 12 o'clock position. So we can use all or just one of those instruments. So first of all, let's use our HUD, shall we? So all we've got to do is get to the selected speed of 710 kilometers an hour, get to the selected height there, and the direction of the circle. So let's head left and chase that circle with our cross. I'm going to zoom in to make it a little bit easier to see. Now bear in mind we're going to have no terrain markers because of the whiteout that will soon be approaching. So I want to speed up a bit. I want to get myself in the circle there, and there we're now heading directly towards the selected, I'm going to call it a waypoint. It's technically, it's not a waypoint that I've added myself. It's a predefined RTN waypoint. And I'm just going to pause it there just to show, because we're in the circle there and we're going where we should, that also our other instruments will match up. Our ADI, you can see, is centered beautifully on the cross, and our HSI is it's not perfect, but we're heading in the right direction. It's just about at the 12 o'clock. You see we've deviated slightly from the course, which is why the course line here is separated from the waypoint heading line there. I go into that better in my full navigation tutorial, which is a different video, so I'm not going to go too much on that right now. So just keep it in the circle, right, and it's changed. You can see it's updated. It will do that. So we've got a new indication. We've got closer, so we've now got a new location to get to, a new altitude and a new speed. Now I'm going to ignore the speed today. If I go by the speeds that it gives me, this tutorial will take hours, so I'm going to just speed everything up by going super fast. But I am going to follow the altitude. I'm just going to trim myself out. It wants me down here in the soup, basically, and even I am struggling to see this HUD, so that's a good reason to use our steam gauge, which I will do in a second. Let me just level out now. So it wants us to level out now, and chasing the circle, chasing the circle. The circle's a bit wrong at the moment. It wants me to go down further. We actually want to go up ever so slightly, and that's us pretty good there. Let me just retrim. Right, so at this point, we're going to take a look at our map here just to make things a little easier. You can see that the square there is our RTN point where we're heading to, 10 miles off from on the runway. We're almost there. We are now 3.4 clicks, and we can confirm that down there, 3.5 clicks there away from it. Once we get to it, it's going to automatically update. It's going to change it to landing mode, and our next course point, our next point of interest is going to be the actual runway itself. It's going to do that automatically when we get close enough. We could do it manually, used by pressing 1. That would change us now, but we're going to let it do it itself when we get to that point. At that point, the instruments are going to basically drag us left. You can see we've got to make a fairly sharp turn to the left to get on this path, excuse me, of the ILS final approach. So let's do that. So we're still going to follow our circle for now in the hard. It wants us down, but we're just going to ignore it for a second. I just need to get my wits about me. Right, so I'm going to look at the ADI here. I'm going to keep that central. There's one point there. You see the localizer, which is this line here, swung to the left. It wants to get us left to get us on track, and we want to be going down as well to meet this glide slope line here. The same information is essentially on the HUD. You can see we've got an extra circle now. Big circle, small circle. So this is extra information to keep us on the glide slope. Essentially what we want to do is get one circle inside the other circle and in the cross. So we can do this in the HUD, or we can do this down here on the steam gauge. ADI, I think I'm going to try and use the steam gauge. Now one thing is we don't want to get too far off the course of the final approach. So I'm going to turn fairly tight here to try and get on course. So stand by. Okay, we're ever so slightly off course. Let's just we level out here and see what our instruments are telling us. Okay, that's not too bad. We're pretty good. Now our altitude is wrong. You can see in the HUD and on the ADI we are well high of glide slope. So we're going to start heading down. Our speed's got to come down as well. Air brake's going to come out. We want to go slightly right as per the ADI. We've got to keep going down, chasing it down. Slightly right. Keep chasing it down. Right. And up it comes. Up comes the glide slope. We just want to neutralize it ever so. It takes a lot of practice, this does. Up comes the glide slope, and I want to get it right in the middle, and I've gone past it. I just want to keep it Oh dear, going down too low. It's cost my trim, I think. Okay, we can save this. Gear down, flaps down. We're below 500 clicks per hour. Okay, we just want to neutralise. So everything I'm doing at the moment is essentially in here. That's how I'm flying. And now the idea is you're not really supposed to chase this closed slope line. You can let it come down to you, but I just want to and there, neutralise that there. Right, we are on pretty much on glide slope now, slightly to the right. So I'm just using this instrument here. Slightly to the left, slightly to the right, slightly up. And like I said, you're not supposed to chase this, you're supposed to do it smoothly. But it is what it is. And we're through the clouds. And we're bang on. Whoops, I'm stalling. Silly. I wasn't watching my speed there. We are bang on the runway. So even if the entire runway were shrouded in cloud down to the last foot, we still would have been able to land. Luckily, we've got a couple of 100 feet of clear sky here. So let's just touch that down now. Bosh, we're down. I can't remember if this has a parachute or not. Let's try it. It does. Brilliant. Right, so that was okay. It was a bit ugly. You see, it takes a lot of practice. You need to do that 3 or 4 times, 5 times, until you can really get that sweet spot of following that ADI. Or again, up here, you can see you've got the small circle and the big circle. You could have done it up here. I just chose to do it down here because I struggled to see the HUD in that white cloud. That's it, really. Pretty cool. Go practice it, and we'll see you later.